Maybe hold the top. Yeah, it's gonna burst. It's gonna burst. Exactly. Oh. When I meet Brazilians, I always think like they can play football. Can you play football?
Nah, that's why I'm in Poland doing comedy. Yeah,
I can imagine if someone goes to a different country, learn the language, understand the culture, make a joke about it, and win against the people who actually lived here.
There's another show from a Polish streaming platform of comedy, and on my episode I also won. And I remember one of the comedians saying that they lost. I said, the foreigners stealing our jobs again.
How many languages do you speak?
Yeah, I've studied 15 languages in the past 13 years. Service for me has to be 2-in-1. Like, I had a barber, he needs to speak Russian because I'm paying for the hairdress and the Russian conversation class. You know, I'm paying 2-in-1. Uber, I'm gonna speak with the driver. You know, I need to practice in every moment.
I want you to advise newcomers, comedians who are not on the stage yet. It's called Comedy Beaver.
Comedy Beaver, yeah.
Today we have an uprising comedian who's been on the game for only 2 years but already doing shows in different languages. And yes, he can speak languages more than you can count. This is an episode we did with Eli. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Behind the Logo, powered by Ego. We have an amazing guest as usual. His name is Eli. He's my friend. Welcome back.
Thank you for an invitation.
Oh, welcome back. Welcome. Well, we've met in another videos.
Yeah, we've done a lot of things together.
Yeah. That's why. Welcome back then.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you very much for taking your time to come here. For guys, you don't know, but he's a comedian, so you might laugh a lot. So bring your popcorns. You're going to have a really amazing entertainment right now.
Your creative expectations.
Yeah. I mean, if you tell people that they're going to laugh, they might not laugh that much.
Yeah.
But let's see.
Let's hope.
So you actually, I've known it for a long time, but not that much. So how many languages do you speak? But I know you know 15 languages. You've studied 15 languages.
Yeah, I've studied 15 languages in the past 13 years. But now I would say that I can still like have conversations in around like 10 languages, more or less. After I started doing comedy, it's been a little bit hard to keep up with all the languages. My priorities changed a bit. But before, all the experience I had in my life was with languages. I was teaching, I was working as a tutor, helping people to learn languages. So until the moment I moved to Poland, I found my first corporate job because before I was just working with languages.
Yeah, this is crazy for me because I know I've heard it before, but 10 languages to speak. How do you even? Don't you get it mixed up?
Yeah, you get. It's normal. Yeah, especially when you're tired or when the languages are similar. Then there are a lot of moments that you can confuse.
Yeah,
and to be honest, like when I started doing comedy back then, I had a crazy routine to be able to not only speak the languages, but to keep up the languages, like to find people to practice, to learn a little bit of them, consume content in all these languages like I was almost not living. Or if I was living, I needed to find ways to live in all these languages. So I always doing like, service for me has to be 2-in-1. Like, I had a barber, he needs to speak Russian because I'm paying for the hairdress and the Russian conversation class. You know, I'm paying 2-in-1. Uber, I'm gonna speak with the driver. You know, I need to practice in every moment. So I was trying to use every opportunity to use a little bit of the languages.
Any
and
plans
practice.
adding on more languages?
Well, I'm currently learning Turkish. I decided to learn Turkish this year's my New Year's resolution. I think I'm not a very good polyglot because I don't speak any non-Indo-European language, the language that doesn't have European roots. So Turkish would be the first one. So it has a completely different structure. Vocabulary is also very different. It has a different origin. So it's a good experience for me. So that's why I chose Turkish. Also because there are a lot of Turkish people here, so there are a lot of opportunities to speak Turkish and maybe to get a discount on my kebab.
It will help you for sure. We'll go to the kebab store together.
Yeah, let's try. We can get a discount for our kebab.
So 10 languages, but we have to go back to the origin. Where you from? How did you grow up? The environment?
Yeah, I'm from Brazil, which is a non-multilingual place at all. I think like 2% of Brazilians speak English. Like very low.
Really?
Very low amount of Brazilians.
But Brazilians speak English though.
No, there are more people that speak Spanish in Brazil than in English, I would say.
Okay.
So I grew up in a family that also, my parents, they do not speak any foreign languages. Like I was the first person in my house to finish school, for example. So the idea of learning a foreign language was a little bit far away. And you know, at school, no one actually does learn. I don't know how it was in your country, but in my country, at school, we didn't learn properly how to speak a language. So I finished school not being able to communicate in English or in Spanish, even though I had these languages there. So speaking foreign languages for me always looked like something very far away. Probably my parents didn't even have these expectations that I would ever learn, because also Brazil is such a big country that there's so much content, and that's inside Brazil, and Brazilians might not even know what's happening sometimes outside of the country, because there's a lot happening in Brazilian Portuguese. But yeah, that was the environment I grew up. Then I was playing basketball. I wanted to be a professional basketball player. Probably that was the first contact I started having with English, because back then we couldn't watch NBA in Portuguese that much as much as now. So I needed to check things in English. Then I went to the university. I was studying engineering, and I decided to quit because I did a project in Italy. I was teaching, and it was the moment I said, okay, I want to work with languages. I don't want to continue doing engineer. I don't see myself as an engineer. I quit the university and I started just like working with language, teaching, like tutoring, and that's how everything started for me in that moment.
But when you think about engineering, a lot of people when they go to engineering, like that's a staple job. Like after you finish engineering, you know, solid income, then you create family and stuff like that.
I think in Brazil it was. That's why we have so many engineers now in Brazil, because our parents, they all saw, engineers there are a lot of jobs for them. They can have a good salary. So study engineer. But the problem is that not only my parents said that, a lot of them said, and we didn't have enough jobs for all of them. So nowadays, being an engineer is a very common occupation for Uber drivers in Brazil. So it's true. It's very true, though. It's very hard to find someone who studied engineering in Brazil that works as an engineer.
Oh, I mean, it's the same in Ethiopia as well. Like, there's a lot of engineers. Like, back then, when it is like 10 years, 15 years ago, it was a good job. Like a good opportunity for engineers, but now everybody's an engineer and they're not working on the engineering side.
Yeah, exactly.
So what made you choose to the language side?
Well, I think it comes to a little bit when I finished university. I had the luck of having one of my friends in childhood. His mother married an Austrian guy, and they moved to Austria. And they were inviting me to visit them. So when I finished school, my dad gave me a book, which back then I didn't know. My dad probably didn't know either. It's one of the best books if you want to start learning a language from scratch. It's from a French brand called Assimil. And I started learning German. And I noticed that during like the lessons every day, I was making more progress than I was making at school, in years. I could speak better German in 2 months than I could speak English after so many years at school learning grammar and doing the verb to be forever, you know. So I noticed that, okay, because until that moment I thought I don't have a talent for that. It's not for me. So in that moment I realized, maybe it's not me that is the problem, is the method. So if I improve the method, I can maybe learn a language even better and quicker. So I started doing that. So on that year, I started learning German. On the next year, I went to Italy. So for that project, I started learning German. The other year, I started learning English, because it was very hard to learn German not knowing English, because back then we didn't have a lot of content to learn German in Portuguese. And on 1 year later, I started learning Spanish and then Italian. And that's how all of it started. And always I was researching on how to improve the method. I did this, didn't work well. Maybe I should try that. I read a little bit. There's this new method. I should use that. And I was trying to create a perfect method that maybe it doesn't exist because you always need to adapt. But I was trying to make the most effective possible for my language learning whatever language it was.
So when you say the method, you got to tell us the method, because eight languages, I couldn't even speak my own language properly. So you gotta tell me that.
Well, I think everything comes from, there are a lot of questions that I will ask people. They say, I want to learn this language. So what's your goal with this language? Because if you want to be a diplomat, you need to learn how to write well, read well. if you want to be a teacher as well. But if you just want to learn the language for like to talk with people, you don't need that much the reading language, like the books, the language from the books. You just need like more the spoken language, the colloquial language. So you need to pay attention to what's your goal and how many languages you already know, which language you already know. So because let's say like a Brazilian, if I want to learn Spanish, it's very easy, like for a Brazilian, because we understand by default 60-70%. But if you want to learn Spanish, it's not going to be that easy. So the approach is a little bit different. So we need to bear in mind all of that things also. If you know more languages, you know more sounds, you know more structures, you know the process a little bit better. So sometimes people, they compare themselves with polyglots like they see on the internet. They say, oh, this guy's learning so quickly. Yeah, but this guy is learning his, 10th language, and you're learning your second. So he knows the process and he trusts the process. He knows every part of the process way better than you. So do not make these comparisons. I think this is also important when you're learning a language. If you just stick to a material, do it like slowly. There are some tips I can give, in general, but I think most people, they are very hyped in the beginning, and after some time they lose the hype and they don't want to learn the language anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the most common situation.
What's the most difficult language to learn for you?
Again, I think this question depends on what language you know. So when I was learning Mandarin for 3 months, when I started doing comedy and then I stopped. So it was very difficult because you have the writing system is very different. All words are not related to anything in you. But Turkish is also very different at that point. So I think everything depends on what part of the language, right? Like, for example, sometimes people get very surprised when they ask, oh, what language has the hardest pronunciation for you? So from the languages I've studied, English, from far away, like,
yeah,
because it's not related what you write to what you read. It's very hard to know how to pronounce a word you have never seen. So every language has difficult things and like difficult features, easy features. So it's very hard to reply to answer this question. Like,
I mean, Mandarin is pretty hard from what I heard. I've never tried to learn it, but from what I heard, Mandarin is hard. But German is easier apparently for English speakers.
For English speakers it might not be that difficult. There are some words that are related, some logic that applies, like making words together, creating new words. The structure of the phrase might not be that different. So for English speakers it's not as difficult as people say.
When I meet Brazilians, I always think like they can play football. Can you play football?
That's why I'm in Poland doing comedy. No, I cannot play football.
You're not Vinicius.
I was very bad at football, which was, my dad was very frustrated about it because I think he really wanted me to be a football player. And that's why I started playing basketball as well. Like, I wanted to be on sports. Because I don't know if in your country it's the same, but in Brazil, a lot of people still find art and sports as a way to reach a certain level of success or financial stability that you would not probably find in educational system, because you do not have people around you that, oh, this person has a very good life because this person studied marketing. Like, no, but there's always someone in your neighborhood, oh, this guy's a football player, this guy's a musician, he made it, and you have more references from that than from education. So I think everyone wanted the same.
Yeah, I mean we always wanted to, in Ethiopia as well, we always wanted to be footballers. Like, when it comes to guys, that we're obsessed with being a footballer, but it doesn't work like that.
Yeah,
not everybody can be a footballer.
It's tough. I think sometimes all this pressure is also not good, right, for the kids.
Yeah,
and we have no idea what's the process is, like how hard it is, like how the percentage of people that actually make to become a professional football player, then it's just very small, and we have no idea when we're kids.
I mean, I gotta ask you that because if you know how to play football, then that will rest my case.
Nah, I'm not a good Brazilian. I cannot. I don't dance.
I mean, you speak 8 languages, so you You're different nationalities. Like
Yes, I have a little bit of every nationality. I think
Yeah.
at this point, like I'm not a typical Brazilian. I don't dance. I don't play football. I don't wax my vagina. I have like a very not typical Brazilian. Could I have said that? Because Brazilian wax, like my country unfortunately is known for that. Like, your countries are different, are known for different things, right? My country is known for waxing vagina, so it's or for Brazilian butt lifting, for lifting butts.
all right.
This is what my country is known
You
for.
caught me off guard.
Yeah, but this is what people always tell me about Brazil. And I think we used to be more known for football. Now it's more for lifted butts and...
Yeah, that's the thing on the air right now. Like when you say Brazilian butt lift,
yeah.
that's what it is.
Now it's funk, waxing, and BBLs, which is all connected.
Yeah.
So
Then right at the bottom, Vinicius Junior.
yes. Nowadays, that's it, yeah. Nowadays, that's how Brazil is known abroad.
Yeah. All right. So we talk about how many languages you speak and stuff like that. And we come to be for your profession right now. I know you wanted to be a comedian like for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
but you've been doing this for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Why did it take you this long to start?
I think I was scared of going on stage. I had never done that. Like, I think one thing is like to teach and you go in front of the class of your students. But the other one is you go on stage with people that you have no idea who they are, and you have the pressure of you need to make them laugh. So it was scaring me a lot. And one day I was actually trying to write jokes for many years, like having some ideas and trying to write and testing with people, while talking. But I never had this opportunity. Even in Brazil, I didn't know where should I go. Like open mics, I didn't even know what an open mic was. I think in my city we didn't have an open mic back then. When I moved to Poland, I started going to open mics just to watch. Until like I think 2-3 years later, after watching the comedians, one day I just asked the guy, "Can I try?" And he said, "Yeah, you have 3 minutes. Usually you have 5. He gave me 3 minutes." And it went really well. The first time.
Which language?
In English, yeah. I started in English, which is usually not common because people usually start on their mother tongue, right? And I did it in English, and was very nice. My first time was very nice. Of course, there's this element that when they say, "Oh, you're trying for the first time," people are very open. And from that moment on, I really liked this adrenaline. And I said, okay, I want to get better at it. Because I had the same mentality that I had before from the languages, if I improve a little bit slowly, maybe, let's see where it goes. And it started going like a little bit too far, getting out of control. And yeah, and then that's where I am now, because I'm a little bit nerdy about things. In the same way that I treated the languages, like trying to learn the methods, the structures, and researching what's the best way. In comedy, the same way. I think after 2 months, I already bought some books, started listening to like some podcasts about it, talking with some people trying to learn like structures and so on. So, and I think many people that want to do comedy, they actually don't even do that.
Who's your favorite comedian?
Wow. I think I have 3 favorite comedians. My favorite comedian, I would say, from my childhood is Rafi Bastos. You know him, the Brazilian guy?
I don't know him.
You know that I dance, you dance, he dances. Why is he dancing more than us? Don't you know?
I
Yeah.
know that. I know that gig.
Yeah, so he's a Brazilian comedian. He was probably the first guy I saw doing stand-up comedy, but was a child in Brazil.
Okay.
So the first time I said, wow, this is really cool. And then later I remember seeing by accident Chris Rock doing stand-up comedy with subtitles in Brazil. They were shown on TV. And I said, wow, Chris Rock, the actor, because I knew him as being an actor. Didn't know he was. I knew Everybody Hates Chris. So Chris Rock is also like probably one of my favorite comedians as well. And I complete my top 3. There's an Indian comedian I like that's called Virdas, which also I like how he performs on stage, the different approaches, and also a different point of view of life and the world and comedy that is not only the South American, North American thing, or that he talks. I learn always something new when I see him performing. So
yeah. When it comes to comedy, though, like I know it's all jokes and fun, but I feel like I think those jokes are coming from a really deep place. like a trauma or something? Because I've heard, I think Kevin Hart speaking about that. Like, what is it for you?
I mean, the same. I think that the best jokes are usually the ones that you have some emotions involved. So when I would go on stage and I would talk about my dad thinking that I'm gay because I'm vegan, this is actually true. Like, I'm not talking like my dad actually thinks, it's hard for me to explain to him, and this frustration I had and that feeling like, well, my dad thinks I'm gay because I have earrings or because I don't eat meat, and I turn it into jokes. Or when I joke about my dad buying fake brands, or like you used to call parallel brands for me, like when I was a kid, it's the same thing, I was going to a Catholic school. I had a scholarship. Everyone had brands, but I had the fake ones, so when I talk about it, it's a little bit of like, the feeling that I had when I was a child, I wanted to have, and I turned it into comedy, because I think the Greeks used to call it like the tragedy and the comedy is like one coin and two sides. So everything depends on the angle you look at it. So something really bad happens to you, you can look at it, but you can also look at it on another way that you can laugh at it and joke about it. And I think this is how comedians usually approach it.
Yeah, because like the funniest jokes, when I even like sit down and think about it, the Kevin Hart jokes or any big comedian you think of, it's actually deep. Like, if it is true, it's deep. I've heard, I can't remember that geek, but I've heard Kevin Hart say something about his family, about his dad actually, about his dad drinking problems and all of those stuff. And it's true. If it's not true, he will not joke about it, right? Then when you think about it, it's really deep. It's really deep. So yeah, I know comedy comes from a really deep and dark place.
I think there's something very important for a comedian, which is your jokes need to be authentic, in the sense that if your jokes can be performed by anyone else, this is not authentic. So when your jokes fit perfectly your persona, your character, your history, your everything that has happened to you, then it's part of your identity. People connect to you. But people usually connect to your pain. I saw like in a book the phrase that when you joke about your struggles, usually you're a comedian. But when you joke about someone's struggles, you're a bully. So I think that's the point. Like, okay, I'm exposing myself. I'm talking about my issues, the things that happen to in my life, and people will connect with me.
What kind of comedy is it called? The ones they pick on the audience.
The crowd work, you mean?
Yeah,
like
the crowd work, is that bullying?
Well, I think it depends. So some comedians are actually known for being a little bit rough with the crowd, but I think the crowd that knows comedians that do that, they go there already open for that, to being roasted. And I think it depends on the country as well. Like, I think it depends what's the tradition of comedy in your country, because I think in the US people go there already open, for jokes, for the comedian maybe to roast them a little bit, and they understand that it's comedy. If these things would be said in a different context outside of the comedy club, that would be different, but there is part of the show.
So does jokes differ from language to language?
Yeah, differ the structure of the language, the word order differs, the background, the cultural background, or what people find funny or not. Like, for example, I remember when I performed at the Polish Comedy Festival, I saw some comedians performing, and I came to a comedian that was hosting the show and asked him, why Polish people always laugh at someone who just said vagina on stage, and they like, ha ha ha. It's like, but there was no joke. They were just saying like, and then he told me that because we come from a country that we don't have sexual education in school. Sex is a taboo. Okay. So when you say these names, especially in choosing some specific words for that, it creates tension and people laugh. So you need to understand as well the cultural environment you have in that language, in that place. And it plays a very important role, I believe.
So,
or the limits as well. Yeah.
So, winning Kill Tony Poland. You did a Polish stand-up comedy, right?
Yeah.
In front of 600 people. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So in Poland there is a show called Masz Minutę. which is like Q20, and they do it, I think, every month. And I signed up for it. Actually, I signed up for it when I started doing comedy, and thanks God they didn't pick me up for that because I was not prepared back then. 1 year later, I had already given up about comedy in Polish. I said, I'm not going to do that. And then I saw they were in Warsaw and I signed up again.
No, why did you give up?
Because I tried once and it went really bad. I felt that I don't understand their humor. What?
They didn't laugh?
They didn't laugh. They didn't understand some jokes. Because, like, for example, I usually joke about the fact that my name is Junior. And this is not common in Brazil because to be Junior, you need to know who your father is. And I found out later that Polish people have no idea what Junior means. And then later I realized that and I started joking about the fact that they do not know what it means. But many of my jokes, they were not understood by them. They didn't relate to the jokes. And back then I had just started doing comedy and I felt, it's not for me. So some months later, almost a year later, I went to this show and usually the name is Smash Minute. Like we have 1 minute, we usually do like 1-2 minutes. And I did 2 minutes. Actually, I stopped because sometimes they make you some noise to stop. And I stopped and I ended up winning the edition. And I won a spot in the Polish Comedy Festival. And there I needed to prepare a set. Imagine for someone who had never performed in Polish before, that was like my second time because the first time went really bad. And I needed to prepare to perform in a theater. Had never performed in a theater. Had never performed for 600 people and in Polish. So it was a very interesting experience on going every week multiple times to test material, to write jokes in Polish and to polish them, to take them to the festival and perform. It was definitely a great experience for me.
I mean, that's impressive because I can imagine if someone goes to a different country, learn the language, understand the culture, make a joke about it, and win against the people who actually lived here.
I remember later I was invited for there's another show from a Polish streaming platform of comedy, and on my episode I also won. And I remember one of the comedians saying that the loss. I said, the foreigners stealing our jobs again. And which for me is very interesting, like wow, like it's so hard for me to do comedy in Polish in the sense like the feeling of the language, choosing words, and the fact that I won against native speakers. It's I think it's a very nice thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So you've lived in Poland for how many years now?
5.5.
5.5.
5.5.
How do you see the difference in your personality? Because you speak Polish as well.
Wow, it changed a lot. First, after 5.5 years in Poland, I learned a lot of things that I took from their culture. I think I'm not that social anymore as I used to be. But on the other hand, I learned some other good stuff, like more about being on time management. I think maybe you relate to that, but in Brazil, people talk a lot and they don't do as much as they talk. So I learned here that how much important is actually action and not that much talking. So, yeah, I mean, it changed a lot the way I see some things. It's a very different culture. I think you'll probably feel the same, right? So I learned a lot. I don't know if I answered properly the question, if that was the question.
Yeah. That was the question.
Yeah.
Because, when you speak, to live in one country is one thing, but speaking the language, it just gives you a different 3D dimension of the whole country's like culture and the people, because you'll be communicating with the locals and stuff. So that's why I asked you that question.
And it's impossible to learn the language without learning the culture, right? And I think that's probably the best way to learn the culture. Is like, because first, in order to learn Polish, I need to consume content in Polish, and I'm consuming content in Polish. I'm learning things about Poland. For example, I will listen to podcasts with the Polish comedians. I'm seeing how they see comedy. I'm seeing what Polish people like to eat from like some bloggers, some vloggers, and where they go, what's the impression they have about some places. So I'm trying to understand as well how they see the world, what's their perspective. And I think this helps a lot on interacting with them as well, right? Because when you don't understand that, I have like a situation when I moved to Poland. I was gonna watch a football match on this fake beach that they have close to the river, and I was trying to open this like this beach chair, and no one was helping me. Everyone saw I was struggling, no one was helping me, and I was like, how the hell no one is helping me? You know, like. Then later I was talking with a girl from my work, Polish girl, and she mentioned like because we appreciate personal space, which is something that in my culture doesn't exist. You know, I joke that personal space and privacy is like democracy. We took from the Europeans, but we still do not know how to use. And that was the moment I understood like, okay, if I need help, I would need to ask. They will not offer it like that, especially in Warsaw. So. Things start making more sense when you're interacting with them, and
yeah, nobody will ask you to. I've seen that a lot. But I think I've also catered to that kind of culture. I'll just see people struggling. Yeah, ask me. Yeah, I'll wait.
I will not invade your space, but
yeah,
I'm cheering for you.
I'm cheering for you. Yeah,
sending good energies.
So. When you're doing this comedy in Polish, different languages, what's the most difficult thing that you faced in the whole like 2 years of your career right now?
I think it's think the way the crowd thinks, because when you do a joke, it's not a joke that you understand, it's according to what they understand, and you need to put yourself in their shoes and to try to think like they think, to see if the joke actually makes sense for them. But I don't have that much contact with Polish people. So for me, this exercise is very hard. I need to often ask people, are Polish people going to understand this? Are they going to understand that? Like I had a joke about bricks. They have no idea what the bricks are. So I thought everyone knew the bricks, you know? Like, so it turned out that maybe in democratic countries, they do not know the bricks. So I always need to ask someone about what they understand, what not, and this is very tough. I feel very dependent sometimes on my friends and checking this. Does it make sense? Like, do you think Polish people know this reference or not? And yeah, this is very tough, because in English I know that it happens sometimes, of course, in different cities and so on, but way less, because I kind of understand better the way the crowd thinks. Especially I will see the crowd, to see who's in the crowd, say, okay, they understand this and that. In Russian, I will understand what they are thinking, because we can ask my girlfriend as well, and I have more contact with this culture. But in Polish, it's a little bit tough.
Is there any funny moments?
Well, there are a lot of funny moments. And let me think. There's the video we were discussing before, that I went to a podcast, and I simply asked the question why I know Russian, and my answer, the video went viral. Because for the wrong reasons. Because they asked why I moved to Poland, why I know Russian, and I said that when I moved to Poland, I had a Brazilian friend that could speak Russian, but he was black, so when he was speaking Russian, people thought he was very intelligent. But when I speak Russian, people think I'm from Uzbekistan. In my mind, I was just trying to say that I look Uzbek, but Uzbek people thought I was saying they are not intelligent, and that's how the video went viral, for the wrong reason, and the crowd loved. And in that moment, I didn't know that there was a stereotype that Central Asians are not intelligent. So I did this. They understood something completely different than what I said, and it was still funny. And I thought they were laughing for another reason. And the video went well. Remember, a lot of people followed me. The video has almost 1 million views. But yeah, it's a very interesting story.
Hope this one goes viral as well.
Yeah, hope this one will go viral as well. And Uzbek people, I'm sorry. One day we'll go to Uzbekistan.
Tell them in Russian.
In Russian? No, я пойду в Узбекистане, и я буду выступать там.
Yeah.
И also the moments that when I started end up in the news in Russian, because I joke a lot. I have a lot of political jokes. Because again, the struggle we were talking about. So I see the struggle of my girlfriend, not being able to coming back to Belarus. You know, the president that doesn't want to get out of there. You know, like and it annoys me as well. So I started joking about it, and some of the videos started going to the news. And I appeared in the news. I gave interview to the opposition channels, which probably makes me not being able to go there unless I want to go to prison. And I didn't expect, you know, like sometimes I go to some places and Belarusian people recognize me because I joke about their country. Wow. And yeah, this was also something very unexpected that happened.
Well, talking about Belarusian, you've gone to like the major TV channels because of you knowing Belarusian?
Yeah, the opposition ones, the ones that were kicked out of the country, and they usually make material about the government and anti-government. Yeah,
So there are TV channels which have been kicked out of the country.
they're mostly in Poland now.
Oh, tough.
So I had the opportunity on giving interviews to them.
So can you ever go to Belarus?
I don't think so. Yeah. I don't think so. Yeah, I think I would, like many Belarusians now. If I go there, I probably go to prison, which might be a good, immersion of the Russian language if I want to improve. But I think I can find a better way to do it. So yeah, I think this.
Wow. I mean, what is the advantage of knowing languages? But instead of, other than like communication, like what kind of advantage do you actually got?
Ooh, a lot. I got a lot of things for free for knowing languages.
That's why you were talking about that kebab.
Yeah, actually, because I heard stories that people got discounts because they spoke in Turkish, these kind of things. But I got, especially when it's a language that is not widely spoken, or when your appearance doesn't match the language. So, I mean, that's why I was upset that when I speak Russian, people think I'm from Uzbekistan, because I always thought I would have this, reaction. Oh my God! And I need to say it I'm Brazilian,
Yeah.
Like in Brazil, there was a Brazilian guy that he went super viral. Now he's in Russia because he could speak Russian, but he was black and Russian people loved. And I always thought, oh, maybe I will have the same reaction and they think I'm Central Asian. And there is also this thing, like if I learn a few phrases in Shona, for example, and always when I say it, like people from Zimbabwe, or they go crazy, they find amazing, or they look at me and said, Ndembele, bro, wrong tribe, like. So I always have these two possibilities, and people like when you have, because imagine how many people decided to learn Shona.
Like how many people decided to learn Shona?
Yeah, as a foreign language, like so if they hear a foreigner speaking some words in Shona, they will be very surprised, very happy, or like.
But did you actually learn Shona?
No, I just learned a few phrases, but just by knowing these few phrases, they make them already very happy. So.
So whenever you hear a different language, you have a talent of sticking it.
No. We ask usually someone to tell me like some phrases, and we try to learn that. And yeah, I think it's good. It's good to know some words, to communicate with people. People really appreciate, like for you. When your country is not mainstream, which is the case of Belarus, like Belarus is a country that's very close to us, and no one has no idea what's going on. I mean, of course, now they do a little bit because the president is doing crazy things, and it's appearing more often in the news. But in general, they appreciate that you know something about the country. You know some cities, some fun facts or something. And I think the same will probably go with Ethiopia, right?
Yeah.
If I would talk with some Ethiopian, I will mention some fun facts about Ethiopia, some things about the language. People we will really appreciate. And that's why sometimes I tell people that do not learn only mainstream languages. There are also other languages that are very it will open you a lot of doors depending on what you want to do. If I would have more time, I would still would not have a corporate job. I'll probably learn Arabic, Hindu, Swahili, I would be very interested in doing that.
So I have this thing, like boxers, they always say they're really afraid, first of all, to be in the public spaces because everybody wants to challenge them. Like with boxing, they want to see their talent, and like, oh, you think you're tough or something like that. And did you comedians, I believe they will be asked to make them laugh, to make people laugh just right on the spot. Exactly. Have you ever had that kind of moment?
Oh, tell me a joke.
Yeah.
But the boxing is the same thing. I was listening to a podcast, a French podcast recently, and the boxer mentioned that, like, if I fight on the streets, I'm wrong. That's not the place and the context for that. And I think comedy is the same. If you want me to perform my jokes, there is a place and a moment for that. Of course, like, one thing is like being funny spontaneously, but not every comedian is funny out of stage. Some comedians are very introverts. They are very shy out of stage. So there are some people that they are not funny, but they say things in a funny way. So I think it's also good to understand the comedian, like to respect the art, because you will see like a painter will not bring up people, make me no.
Yeah.
So there is always imagine like a translator to being translate me everything like for free.
Yeah.
No, that's not how it works, right? So I think, okay, if you want a comedian to tell some jokes, go to the show. Right.
There's no free jokes here.
No, unless like my friends, they usually get a lot of jokes that I'm testing.
Okay.
And especially my girlfriend, that's why she never goes to the show. She knows all my jokes probably at this point. But yeah, I mean, unless you have like, I mean, it's good for anyone anyway. Like to go to a comedy show. The environment is different. You were discussing that, right? When you go to a comedy show, there is an environment that makes you laugh by default.
Yeah.
You go there, you know, just the lights, everything is proper for that.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's why. Like if you meet me at work in a corporate job, I'm not funny at all. I'm an other person there because I'm always afraid of making some jokes. People might not understand, you know. And
yeah, what is the fine line on comedy?
Once again,
The fine line.
the limit.
Yeah, what is the fine line? Like, how far can you go?
I think it's context. Everything depends on the context of the country you are. Because, you know, if you go to Saudi Arabia, you can do some jokes and you cannot do some jokes that you might be able to do here. Or in the US. So every country culture has some limitations. For example, in English, they have the N word, you know, which is hard to explain if you do not say the word. How can I know which word is it? So in other languages, you have other things that you shouldn't talk about. And you need to play among the line or between the lines. But in other countries, like for example in the US, stand-up is something very old. They understand that what's happening in the comedy club on stage is comedy. It's not part of the society, you know. Like there's context that allows this to happen only there. If you take it out of the comedy club, then it's different. But not every culture understands that as well as they do. For example, in Poland, stand-up is something quite new. I would say maybe it started like 15, 16 years ago, maybe the first generations of Polish comedy. And their comedy background is mostly like cabaret. So they started making this blend of both, created their own identity of stand-up comedy. But they will still go through these talks of what's the limit of humor, what can I say, what can I not, what's allowed, what's not allowed. The US, a lot of people went to jail, got beaten, you know, died for these kind of things already. So you, as a society in the comedy sense, it's they are way ahead of it.
Yeah, the reason I asked you this question because do you remember the incident about Chris Rock getting hit like by Will Smith? Do you think Chris Rock went too far?
I don't think he went too far.
I mean, he was going wild, like on his wife.
He was. But at the same time, you see that Will Smith laughed. But you know, it's that moment that when he saw his wife, he said, "Okay, I'm gonna sleep in the couch.
Yeah.
I need to do something here." And there were some other things in that context.
Probably he felt bad that he left.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Probably like he laughed.
Yeah,
you know, like
she gave him that look. That was the moment.
That was the moment. The look, this powerful look.
Yeah.
So I think, but of course, it's not a comedy show as well. So it's very debatable because even though he's doing comedy, he's there to host the show, but it's not a comedy show. The main thing there.
But it's kind of hard to say because I think the Oscars, like the Emmys, they're all hosted by comedians, right? And the one purpose of it is they pick comedians because they want people to laugh and to do those jokes and stuff. So for that moment, I believe that was a comedy show for that moment. Like everybody knows the setting. Like Chris Rock is there. Like you won't expect for him not to joke about some silly thing, right?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, in my perception of comedy, it will be okay. But again, depends how everyone there felt. Like not everyone likes comedy. That's the thing. When people are paying to see a comedian, they are paying to laugh, and it's part of the context of what they are paying for. But when they are going there just to watch the Oscars to see if they won something, they are not actually be interested in comedy and hearing jokes. I think that might play I know a lot of people that do not like stand-up comedy, for example.
Yeah. I mean, it's really tough because you might be the one who's getting picked up on. You may never know. Like, especially when it is a room full of auras, as we see, like a lot of A-list celebrities, and you're picking up their personal stuff, like, to joke on it.
But on the other hand, it's a celebrity, right? It's a public person.
It's a public person.
So this person also expose his life, her life, for everyone. So I think it's also a little bit different than picking on someone who you have no idea who this person is, and it's just it's not a public person, and might be a little bit different as well.
I mean, I hope you're taking your cautions, like when you make jokes when you do crowds.
Oh yeah. I mean, but I think as well, like, sometimes people are so strict towards comedians in the sense that, imagine if people would judge a football player for missing a shot, like all the time,
But they always do that.
They always do that. So a comedian, sometimes they have a good intention with a joke, but the joke, like the joke I had about my story learning Russian, people understood it in a different way, and you don't expect it.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds sometimes that comedians are not allowed to make mistakes. And I think sometimes people need to understand that sometimes they will make mistakes, but trying to say the right thing, and people don't bear it in mind that sometimes they're just trying to be funny. They're just trying to make you laugh. You understood it in a different way. Maybe it sounded in a different way, and you just take it for granted that he wanted to be offensive. Like, I had a joke when I started doing comedy. In my mind, the joke was really good, but it was about the human zoo in Warsaw, and which is horrible that it was a human zoo in Warsaw, and I read about it. It was not like a permanent human zoo, but still was a human zoo. And when I tried to
human zoo,
they had like humans from different ethnic groups. Like, we had like some Native Americans, we had some Africans, Asians, and they were there like as the animals for people to observe, which is something kind of common in Europe back then. Warsaw had a temporary one. And I had a joke. I wanted to talk about it because when I found out about it, it was, I want to talk about it.
That's wild,
That's wild. And it was like
crazy.
Until 1945, so which means during the Second World War, the zoo was still open. And I wanted to joke about it.
1945.
Yeah. And
when you tell me this story, it's fascinating that because I've never heard of the human zoo. That's really crazy.
So Google human zoos.
Yeah,
in Europe.
have you guys ever heard
US,
of it?
I think they also had. So it's not many. That's what I'm saying. People do not know. If Polish people, they do not know that there was a human zoo or exposition in the way Poland, because it was not permanent. They were, I think, calling like that. But you still can find some pictures of it. And I said, I want to joke about it. I found this information. And when I brought it on stage, people thought I was being racist. But my idea was, how was this, like a mother taking the child to see the zoo and seeing this different people from different ethnic groups, and how was she explaining it? And the jokes were actually on that. Because for me, it's crazy. I cannot even think about such a thing,
Yeah.
And people thought I was making some racist statements, jokes. It was in English, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so after all, I just changed the joke. It was not a beat. I just did a one-liner with that. That was saying that in the past there used to be human zoos, which was a place where white people were going to see people from different ethnic groups. And now it's called Premier League. And of course, now they laugh at it. But the whole beat originally was me trying to share the knowledge that I learned. That for me was shocking. And I felt that, especially if you live here, I think you should know that. Because I was very surprised when I found out.
Wow. I mean, being a comedian is a dangerous game now when I think about it, because you joke about those type of things, and if people just a little bit misunderstood you, and people are wild. Some people, they want to see you after the stage, and once the show is done, like, something might happen, So it's a crazy thing to do.
And not everyone goes there with open for the fact that you can make mistake or something. Some people go there sometimes almost like with bad intentions, aiming to misunderstand something, and this is very tough. Yeah,
maybe they had a bad day in the office, then they want to relax, but they didn't understand the joke. Now they're upset. It could happen. So, apart from whatever we talked right now, and do you have any other missed points that you want to touch before we go into like the quick question?
I think no. I think it's we covered a lot of things about me, right? The languages, and of course, the one important thing that at a certain moment I had a conversation with a polyglot friend of mine, and he told me that he wanted to speak fewer languages, but better, because he realized that it's not about how many languages you speak, but what you do with the languages you speak. And in that moment, also switched for me, like, what am I doing with the languages I speak? So in that moment, I realized, okay, I want to do something. Maybe I should try comedy. So I started trying comedy in Russian back then. I started trying to practice writing jokes in different languages. So what am I actually doing with the languages I do? Because if it's just knowledge, it's just for me. But if I'm actually producing something, it's for people. It's entertainment. It's I'm sharing it. So that's actually it switched for me. That said, okay, I think I can actually do more for other people as well, not only knowledge for me.
Yeah. And people who doesn't know, they have a comedy show. You can tell them about the time, but it's called Comedy Beaver.
Comedy Beaver, yeah. So Comedy Beaver is our page. We organize shows in Warsaw, and we've been doing different formats of shows. Our most successful show is the dating show, which Nate has been part of it.
Yep.
And it happens once a month. And you can follow on Instagram, and there you see all the shows we have. And yeah, so we'll be doing more and more different kinds of formats. So we need to find a way to reach everyone, every English-speaking person in Poland. That there is a community. The shows are good, and just can come up and have fun with us.
Yeah, if you're living in Warsaw specifically, the show is happening in Warsaw. So you can get in touch on their Instagram page. We're going to put it under the description, and you can find it there. And we can go to the quick fire questions.
All right. Yes, sir.
All right, guys. Now we're going to do a quick fire question. Eli, you gotta answer these questions like quick.
All right.
All right. So, comedy or language?
Comedy.
Polish or Portuguese?
Portuguese.
Talent or obsession?
Obsession. I don't believe in talents.
Oh.
Yeah.
Fear or regret?
Fear.
Kevin Hart or Dave Chappelle?
Chappelle.
Wow. That was the quick fire questions.
Yeah.
Do you really love Chappelle?
I like him. I like more than Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart for me is very inspiring in how hardworking he is and his mindset about everyone says that he's probably the most hardworking comedian in the US.
Yeah.
And this is something that I really try to take from him. But he's not someone that really makes me laugh as much as Chris Rock would you.
Oh, Chris Rock. Yeah.
So I would, that's why Chappelle, I connects more with my style of comedy, my what makes me laugh. So
Chappelle it is. So thank you very much. And before we actually proceed on the ending segment, I want you to advise newcomers, comedians who are not on the stage yet. And who wants to push themselves to go on a stage, face their fears. Tell them.
Yeah, I think you can learn from my mistakes. So it took so long for, to try the first time. And I think I should have tried earlier. So yeah, if you're thinking about doing comedy, just try it. Try it and then, record yourself, try to improve, try to get as much stage time you can to get comfort on stage, because in the beginning that's the most important. And I think don't hurry up so much. Like Kevin Hart says, like it took him 13 years to become Kevin Hart, that we know, and most comedians usually give up on around the third year. So enjoy the journey doing that. Try to learn as much as you can, make friends, connections, and try different types of comedy and art, and it will make you a great artist. And I'm sure you're gonna enjoy your comedy journey.
Exactly, guys. Practice makes perfect. So now we're gonna go to the last segment, which is my favorite segment of the show.
All right.
Yeah, we're waiting for the. All right. So you might be wondering, why is the champagne in front of me? So what are we celebrating today? We always in Ego we always celebrate our guests and their achievements and what they have done to achieve what they have achieved until this point. So you may not get a chance to celebrate your own achievements, but when you come here, we gotta celebrate for you.
That's great. Actually, I think in general people forget to celebrate their own achievements, right? Because the goals are on to the next one, and you don't appreciate as much as you should. Yeah. So
exactly. So this is a celebration for your first step that you made on the comedy. Then up to 2 years staying here consistent, still doing your thing. So I want you to have the honor to open this champagne.
Right. Thank you, sir.
All right. We had some casualties like before, a lot of accidents. So
Okay, so I'm not gonna be the first one. I'm happy about it.
Yeah, the cameraman is hiding, and maybe hold the top. Yeah, it's gonna burst. It's gonna burst exactly.
I was not expecting. I was expecting that. It's getting worse and worse. It was a lot of pressure here.
Yeah,
being a comedian is not such a pressure. This is much big pressure.
Nah, this is a clap. Nice. I knew it was like the bushes was, I think it was a plastic, but it was trying to pop out.
Wow, they should have some warning here,
Yeah, I think it didn't get refrigerated enough or something. That's why it popped that much.
All right.
So yeah, thank you very much for opening. Let's have a cheers.
Let's have a cheers and clean the table.
Cheers, guys. So guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this show. And yeah, you can find them on Comedy Beaver. You can find Eli. You can find their show. If you're living in Warsaw, Poland, go there and enjoy the dating show. They have different shows. So enjoy there. Thank you very much for watching. Have a wonderful day or night. Bye-bye.